happened, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Do you know McCain?
I do not, but I've heard a lot about McCain.
So, do you feel like you know McCain because he's told you or because I've told you?
Because you.
Okay. I don't really know McCain that well, just so you know. So, this is McCain's Twitter.
Nathaniel
There's
sees
two whole
honestly.
tweets
2 little tweets.
from 2 years.
Yep.
2.5 years.
Yep. This is McCain's Twitter.
Must have not been that into Twitter.
This is his Twitter. You implied because it said McCain Watch that it wasn't his Twitter. And you said because it's third person, it probably wouldn't be McCain, correct?
Except for I could see the constant tweets, and it was like, well, it might be him, just because of
Okay.
how he's referring to himself.
What makes you think it could be him?
McCain's funny, walking around first floor GLC looking groovy. I mean,
Okay, so you think McCain uses that language?
but from what I've heard from you, yes, I would assume that's the language he would use to describe himself.
Where's all the stuff about, the differences between,
Hamlin Jesus.
like physical and symbolic and structural violence?
Okay. What if McCain wasn't really like that?
Ooh.
What if that's something McCain made you believe?
Whoa.
Go back to Shiro for a second.
That's, no.
This man, right here. We know this is Shiro from the future, right?
Yes.
What is it?
Oh, yes and
But what made you believe that he's Shiro from the future?
Well, he
no.
said
so. And there's evidence to prove it.
Honestly, I also noticed a lot of facial features, and
Also,
the hair
yes, he had
style were exactly the same,
Yeah,
basically.
Okay.
The same bone structure.
So because you were given these contextual clues, you were able to imply that this beautiful asshole is the exact same person as this idiot. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of how the implied author works. The implied author is something that essentially, like Nate said, you're looking at McCain's Twitter, and it says McCain Watch. You would think, oh, this is probably not McCain's Facebook or Twitter.
It's probably not his Facebook or Twitter.
Don't make me kick you, please. But what if this guy and this guy actually did the exact opposite of the entire show? What if Archer and Shiro pretended to be
Oh God, I'm honestly concerned.
Gukwan?
If they pretended to be Kukulon?
Wait, what if? Okay, just
What?
just hear me out for a second. Hear me out for a second. Hear me out. All right. What if everything that Shiro says and does, and everything Archer says and does, could be flipped and put in Kukulon?
So
Would you
instead-
believe it?
No.
Why?
For one thing,
Have it-
Kukulon
They have
is...
entirely different personalities to the point of almost being polar opposites.
Right.
Also, the hair is just completely wrong.
Also,
The bone structure doesn't match.
Guys, I'm not talking physical attributes here. I'm talking about their behavior and their actions.
So if they changed all their behaviors and actions to align more with Kukulon,
Would you believe that they could be Kukulon?
maybe. But it would be a far stretch. And I probably would be sitting there like, okay, bad writing.
Okay. You wouldn't buy it.
I would not buy it.
I would also not buy that they were Kukulon.
You wouldn't buy it either. But that's because you know that this idiot and this idiot
Oh god, I was in some...
what?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just keep going.
This idiot and this idiot are the same person. And you know that because of how they behave, right?
Yes.
That's one of the things, but yes. Sorry. Just never mind. Continue.
Okay, so because you know their backstory, you cannot say at any point that they would be anything like Kukulon, correct? That's the work of the implied author at its finest, because you have... I need a bigger picture. Need a bigger picture. You have this guy, right? And he's an archer. What does Rin say?
The archer class
It's
really is
just
made up of
archers.
But
Uses swords.
when you fight him, would you know that he's an archer?
Not really.
Why?
I mean, in universe, yes, because servants and masters can see classes. So.
But if not, yeah, I'd say, oh, he's got to be like a saber or maybe an assassin.
Maybe he's right.
Why would you say that?
Because he uses swords.
Oh,
Okay,
big
you're
ass.
implying something there, right?
Hmm?
You're implying something there, right?
Because sabermen use swords. And, I mean, I guess if they're giant knives, then I guess he could be an assassin.
Rider.
A rider. But what does he ever ride?
His ego.
Okay. So, the implied author gives you this ability to be able to tell when things are different. So, you know that this is an archer.
But he does use a bow, it's
Gary, I'm not looking for specific. Just back up. You get where I'm going with this? You know this, so you don't have to apply anything, do you? You don't have to apply this. What if he hangs out with? What if he hangs out with? Bear with me. hangs out with this guy.
I'm nothing like you, Dad.
Okay. What if he hangs out with this guy? What if all of a sudden we took away his sword and we gave him a gun?
So Amiya altar.
It's right, Amiya?
I mean, that is literally what Amiya altar is he uses guns instead of swords.
Nothing like you, Dad.
But you're changing. So you're changing something here. Okay?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're changing his mode, right? His mode of apparatus is the way he functions, right? Would he still be the asshole that he is?
Yes.
Why?
Because
he's armchair.
That's his character.
If I'm holding a pencil, it does not make me a different person than if I was holding a pen.
What if it did?
That would be
It's
bizarre
your-
in the extreme.
It's your alter form holding the pen.
Like, when I write the pens all the time.
Guys, we're not talking about alter forms. We're trying to, like, talk about something really serious for a second. Like, this is part of my education, dude.
So, you're saying that if he were to use guns, he'd be a very different person.
Maybe he would be.
I can see.
Would he be able to use the reality marble?
No.
It's part of who he is.
Right.
Part of his backstory.
So, if you change that,
Then he becomes someone completely different.
correct.
He uses the reality marble because it comes from his origin. You would have to fundamentally change who he is as a person, even more so than the change from Shiro to him to.
You literally have to put Shiro into a place where guns.
And is there a reason Shiro can't have a gun?
No,
Why can't Shiro have a gun?
because they're difficult to acquire in Japan.
Babe, we're not going with the actual, like...
You asked, I answered.
I mean,
This man changes, right?
yeah, he goes from
Yeah,
badass to old man sitting on the
completely
porch.
he's broken by his experiences. And he goes from
Innocent
being
child.
quote unquote father of the year to father of the year.
Is he different? Bear with me here. Is this man different? By himself than he is with...
She needs help spelling.
Are you okay?
Shut up.
She needs help spelling.
Fine.
Wifey name. There it is. Second one down, I believe, is the one you're looking for.
Yep.
Ah. Be very careful with this search.
Does this man act differently when he's with his family?
Yes.
Okay.
What changes? What changes in this man?
At least outwardly affectionate and like caring.
From this to this. He acts different, right?
Oh yeah.
Does Shiro act differently when he's with Kurtsugu?
Not really.
Nope.
Again, we don't really get to see much of him. Because his dad wasn't.
I mean, if
But
we
he
can-
talks about it, right?
We can get some hints about it with Prison of Helios, and if we consider that,
Did I just run over?
then no, he doesn't change at all. Like, he's literally a constant.
So Shiro doesn't change.
Saber doesn't change.
Saber doesn't change.
She does actually.
Well, yeah, I guess there's a slight difference between Zero and
She's a little bit more ruthless and
But we're talking about like general behavior.
not
Okay.
quite as trusting.
Talking about general behavior. Does her behavior change when she's around Shiro?
And eventually, yeah, well, at least, her outward behavior doesn't change that much, but she, reconciles with the fact that she is the king, and that was, that was her life, and even if she, wondered if it was going to be different, she had to accept that that was her life, that was the path she chose, and that was her, the best, and she can't just go back. And she sort of comes to terms.
You guys are making this really hard for me.
I don't know how to make it easier because I don't really understand what you're trying to get at. Because you said that what you said before was right was wrong. So
Yeah, because I read my notes.
you changed the terms of everything.
So basically, the implied author is basically showing us what a character is like, then?
No.
Or, like, allowing us to see a character for, like, or taking, I mean, in the case of Shiro, allowing us to look at Shiro and say, oh, he's definitely Archer and not Lancer.
Right.
And in this case, this is showing how characters are different around in different situations.
They behave differently, right?
Yeah.
So the implied author makes it possible for us to see the different types of behaviors from different people. When you hang out
With Benji.
with Benji,
I'm very interested in hanging out with you guys.
when you just bear with me. When you hang out with Benji, do you say things differently?
Oh, yeah.
When you hang out with me, Nate, do we talk about things differently?
A little bit,
Tucker, when you hang out with me, do things change?
That face is like, I don't care.
Okay. Here's another great example. Hang on.
He's like, no.
This is Tucker at his best, right?
Yes.
What's Tucker like when he's at his best?
He's very, calm and disciplined, mostly calm and disciplined.
Very happy and outgoing.
So what happens when I take his vest off? Does he act different?
Relaxes and he gets more like regular doggish.
What does that mean, Nate?
Easy time.
When he runs around a little bit more, he gets more excitable. Because he's not, he sort of lets go and enjoys himself a little bit more. Because he's not at work.
So what could you imply from that?
Imply that he's almost a different person, or a different dog in this case, when he's at work.
Correct. Gary's getting it.
Just as
Well, yeah, just.
he's a very different person when he's with his family than he is
When he's holding a gun and he's going to shoot somebody down.
Yeah.
Different, right?
Yeah, and then there's Sheriff who's just, what the hell? The same all the time.
But he makes a change, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, at some point we never see the change, but yes, at some point he does. And he becomes
And he
a very
becomes-
different character.
And he becomes this, right?
He
Which-
becomes an asshole.
You guys had to imply all the things you knew about Shiro
I was like, hey, this guy's very similar
To
in a lot
make
of ways. There's a lot of differences.
this guy, right? But he does act differently, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, very.
So you can also say that him and Shiro are not the same person.
Indeed.
Boom. That's implied author.
They are and they are not. And that's also why we think that this is possibly a different universe version. Of
We already
Shiro.
know it's a different.
Guys,
it's a different timeline.
I don't care about timeline. I made my point. Thank you for participating in this small discussion.
I understand.
That took forever.
Everything. The universe is amazing.
It took forever.
Fine.